Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. Um, Start a little bit late today because I'm sure this is not going to be a long one. And I didn't want to start early and then end early and end at an awkward time. So, ta-da! Here we are. Um, I'm making something that I was actually going to make just off show yesterday, and then when I got to dinner time, I was just like, I don't feel like that. So when it came to today, I'm like, sure, why not? Let's do it. See if it works out. Um, and I've augmented it now by doing French fries. In the air fryer, we're going to use the air fryer and see how it works. I've never done French fries from raw potatoes in the air fryer. I know it's supposed to work, but I don't know. Never done it. We're going to find out, I guess. And to that end, the first thing we're going to do is make fries, like cut potatoes. So let me grab my cutting board, which is freshly cleaned over here. Um, Grab our cutting board, and we're going to start the day by cutting some fries, because if you're making fries for yourself from raw potato, what's a big potato? I think we're going to just do one potato. Liz, hi. Yes, yes. Thank you, Twitch. I know Liz is a returning chatter. I'm aware. Hi. Good evening. Do I want two potatoes? Let's get out two potatoes and look at them and see if that makes me feel good. How about just a longer potato? So, if you've never made French fries from scratch, from raw potato, one of the tricks that gets skipped over is you have to essentially wash the starch out of the potato like you would with rice. Otherwise, your fries get kind of soggy. We're going to attempt to just gently peel this guy. I don't want the skins. I'm not looking for skin on fries today. But I don't want to take off too much of the underneath. So I'm just going to gently peel. Although we are going to have to take out some of those little eyes. I'll talk more about the sandwich when I get to that part. We're going to start with talking about the fries. And I think I'm just going to make one potato's worth of fries. It'll give us a lot of airspace in our fryer to work with. And I don't think I want to eat a giant mountain of fries today. And fries don't... So I know some people like reheated French fries. I don't think fries reheat very well. So I would err on the side of just making the ones you expect to eat when they're fresh. And not have to deal with a bunch of soggy fries. So we're just going to make one large-ish, but not huge potatoes worth of fries. See how it comes out. Okay, step one. Done, peeled. Step two, give that beastie a rinse to get that little bit of extra dirt off the outside. And we're going to brush down my board real quick as well. Potatoes are, of course, dirty because they grow under the dirt. So don't be afraid to give them a wash. And then we're going to cut to your favorite fry size. I'm going to go for, well, actually, I've got a measuring grid right here, which I'm going to kind of ignore, but I'm also going to kind of go for about that thickness, so like 3/8 of an inch-ish. We don't use the grid on this board very often, but I do have it if I ever need it. And you want to use fresh potatoes for this as well, because they will be nice and firm when you cut them. Old potatoes start to soften up, and you won't be able to get nice straight slices if you're doing this with a knife. If you're doing this with a device, a mandolin, or like a dedicated fry slicer, I think those can handle slightly older fries or slightly older potatoes, just because they're usually hitting it with some kind of a grid. I think you'll end up with more than you're expecting if you do it like this. Which is why I'm going to start with just one potato. Obviously, I am not up to speed with a professional kitchen, but I wanted nice, straight, even fries. Honestly, that looks like a good pile of fries now that it's all separated out. And one potato of that size is often appropriate for one person. So that's the benchmark. I would say a fist-sized or slightly larger potato is enough potato for one person for a reasonable dish, especially if it's with something else. We might not need the big bowl since I only did one potato. We're gonna slide down a size to the medium casserole. Let's go with the medium casserole. And this is how you get rid of your sogginess on your fries. And this is the step that people, I'm sure, shortcut. And we're shortcutting it as well. I'm doing the short version. And I'm hoping that the air fryer, being a dry heat method, will help make up for it. Isosceles with a mayo high five. Hi. This step right here. You just put your potatoes in some cold water and let them sit around for at least 10 minutes, but longer is better. They're not going to take up any more water. They were already fully watered, wet on the inside. That is a heck of an emote combo. Life juice. Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. I'm also not going to fall into the trap of frying those early. I want them to be nice and crispy when I plate them. So we're going to do them as close to the plating as I can get away with. So, the concept that I'm working with for the Rueben salad sandwich is, I've seen this a bunch of times on, like, shorts on the various platforms with shorts. Like a chopped Italian sandwich, where you just take all the ingredients of your sandwich, and instead of layering it up, you just chop it all up in a big mess, jam it in the bread, and serve it. And I'm going to do that with a Rueben. But it strikes me that you should call those a salad, because that's how you make a tuna salad or an egg salad. We're also doing this because I have this here. This is our chunk of homemade Rueben, not Rueben, corned beef, and it needs using. And it's a pretty chunky chunk. I'm gonna cut a little part of it out here. We had a little bit of gristle that survived the cook, and it's sort of running right in there. It's also a big chunk of fat, so I won't be sad about losing it. Although we're not going to deliberately cut away extra fat. It's gone a little bit gray because it's starting to oxidize, but it is still perfectly fine to eat at this stage. It's just slightly less fully rosy pink. Still reasonably pink on the cut side, but it's much browner on the outer surface. But I bet you if I cut it, yeah, it's still pretty pink on the inside. It's just surface. It's just some surface oxidation because it's been sitting in storage now for a little while. A couple of weeks, actually. Cured meats. This is the whole point of cured meats. They keep. They keep way better than you expect. Do I want to use the whole thing? Let's take that little gristle out of there. Before I commit to doing a ton of it, let's see how much we've got if I just sort of chop this stuff up. It's beautifully tender. We are going to freshen it up. That's that same little piece. Just gonna get rid of that. Yeah, I think so. Based on I didn't not making my own bread. We're using pre-made bread, so I should see how big of a bread I've got. I'm planning on really loading it up. I could not find unsliced caraway rye, so we're using pre-sliced caraway rye, which means I'm stuck with what I've got there, which is really unfortunate. I always prefer unsliced bread if possible, so that I can size my own slices. That was a thick slab. What do we think? Is that enough to really load up the sandwich? It should be. It should be. I'm going to get out our bowls, store our ingredients as we prep them. We're going to prep as much as we possibly can, as much as we can think of ahead, so that when I get to the cooking stage, I'm not prepping. And also because I'm still kind of planning it out a little bit. I've got the skeleton of it. So we're going to actually save the little knob there, use that for something else down the line. Although not too much farther down the line, as evidenced by the oxidation, it's getting a little getting a little long. Probably should use it this weekend just as a snack, or save it and make something crazy on Monday. Who knows? Using it up in short order regardless. So your Rueben is corned beef, sauerkraut, Swiss cheese, Thousand Island dressing. That's the rye bread. That's the Rueben. I am not making my own Swiss cheese, so that is coming out of a package. If I can get the edge of the package. Unfortunately, the Swiss cheese is coming out of a package today. This package with this smiling happy cow, who does not represent actual smiling happy cows. Is this even any good? Mmm, that smells like cheap Swiss cheese. Tastes fine though. Probably going to get sweaty instead of melting. We'll see. We will see. The sauerkraut is also not being made, but I'm gonna supplement it. We're gonna augment it. I've got pre-made stuff here. We're gonna get some of the juice out of it. We're gonna dry it out, and we're gonna gussy it up a bit because it's a little bit sad looking, and also it's too wet for what I want to do with it. I don't want a lot of extra liquid, so we're gonna have to dry it out. So and I'm also going to add some stuff to it. But it should be at least half as much sauerkraut as corned beef. Someday I'll get into fermenting and make my own kraut and such. But not this day. That is not this day. How strong are you? It's a little mild, honestly. I'm gonna have to juice it up with a few things. Patsy, hi. Yes, kraut, cubed corned beef, Swiss cheese. I'm snacking on this slice. And we have our fries soaking in the corner. Oh, and rye. Welcome, welcome. We're gonna have to gussy that up. That's the disappointment on the plate right now. And fortunately, I know. I already know what I'm doing. So, one of the main ingredients is, of course, the Thousand Island dressing. And I'm actually not going to use Thousand Island dressing, but I am going to incorporate all of the elements of Thousand Island dressing into our project. Thousand Island is daylight. Oh, yeah, there is some daylight. It's 5:23 p.m. in my neck of the woods. Why, where'd you think I was? What was I saying? Thousand Island. Thousand Island is approximately a combination of mayonnaise, ketchup, and pickled relish. Not exactly, but approximately. It also frequently includes ingredients like chopped onion, uh, sometimes garlic, sometimes a little bit of mustard. Like it has variance, and it there's actually very little daylight today. It has been heavy overcast all day, and I'm getting almost nothing from the windows in here. The lighting we have going on here is just the lighting that I've got in the room. Um, so, to the end of trying to incorporate all the flavors of our Thousand Island, we are including chopped onion and chopped pickle, which I'm going to add to, cut that a little bit more. I'm going to add to the kraut because I have a plan. It looks natural. Well, thanks. I can get rid of it. Cybertraz, hi. Okay, putting the onions in there because I'm not going to cook this part really hard. By the way, we're going to cook a bunch of our elements here. I'm not going to cook this part really hard because I want the onions to maintain some of their crispness, and I want the kraut to maintain some of its crispness as well. Yeah, I actually have a better light. Where did I put that? I have a better light. I just haven't worked out how to hook it up because it doesn't want to attach. Oh. This guy, a little ring light. He came with a tripod, but I don't have room for a tripod. And what I really want to do with him is put him right there for you guys and really light up the world. Trouble is, it does not have any sort of mounting thing except this tripod, which makes it really awkward to put on anything. So currently I just have it in storage. I found it at a thrift store. So currently it kind of lives on the side while I puzzle out how to attach it to the world over here. What I would really like is probably the ring light over on the stove. Or over here by where I take my photos. Okay. Let's see. Keep that kraut handy. We're throwing in pickle. I don't have any pickle relish, but I do have fresh pickles. So, well, it looks better without the ring light now because I have adjusted everything for these, for the way I've got it set up now. I would readjust stuff to accommodate the different lighting. Uh, how's the Rueben going? Well, the Rueben is just getting rolling. I'm expecting a little bit of a shorter one today, but I'm also gonna, take my time and put in my due diligence to make this as good as it can be, because I like this idea, the idea of the chopped sandwich, which is what we're riffing on here, the chopped Italian sub. Um, you've never seen a stove like this. Well, that might be because this stove is real old. My stove is. I want a new one. I want a nice glass top. There. Chopping also got some of the extra liquid out of our pickles. Oh, this is. Let me switch over. This kind of stove used to be super common here in the around where I live, and they're still common in older rentals like this because landlords don't like gas, so they put in electric, but they get cheap old stuff to replace. So we end up with something like this as opposed to the flat tops. U.S. landlords hate gas stoves because they consider them a liability. I'm adding some fresh cabbage, partly because I have it, because we're still working on the very, very tail end, the very, very inner core of this curly cabbage. But also because I want to freshen up the kraut a little bit with some fresh cabbage. I know that is not an element of a Rueben at all. Oh, I grew up with a gas stove, and I've been away long enough now that I kind of have lost track of how it heats, and it ends up heating up much faster than I'm expecting. I would really like, what I really would like is an induction top, which again heats differently, but they are the safest, the most energy efficient, and also the fastest heating. The issue with all of the stove types have their own unique issues. Gas heats up essentially instantaneously, which is appealing, but because it is applying the heat to the plate via an open flame, you end up losing a lot of heat around that flows around the vessel. I should talk about this after the ad, just in case somebody can't hear. Do we want to non-stick this? Yes. Just a few seconds. I will resume that conversation in just a few seconds. Okay. Cabbage. Yes. So the advantages and disadvantages of the three main stove types. The three main stove types being gas, direct electric like this, and induction. Gas heats up instantaneously because you ignite it and it's hot because the flame is a literal flame. But you lose a lot of the heat because the flame is just putting heat into the air underneath the cooking vessel. So you get, this is not a good example. That's not a good one for an example. Like this. You get heat that just sort of comes out and flows around the outside. So you lose a lot of it just straight up. Which can be nice. Woks are designed to take advantage of that flowing heat that comes up the sides. But most standard pots and pans are not, and you end up just losing that heat. Gas flames also put exhaust gases into the air. They have been carefully formulated so that the exhaust gases are invisible, but they are definitely still there. So you really should have a vent hood to pull the gas away and push it outside, because otherwise you just have basically invisible smoke inside the house. Which isn't the greatest. Oh, I shouldn't be heating this up yet. Turn off. Turn off, turn off. This kind, the kind I have, it's just a resistance coil. If you look at the coil, it comes out one end, goes around in a spiral, and then goes under and goes back out. And it just runs electricity through it. And because this is not a very good conductor, it just gets hot. That's it. It heats up slowly because it has to heat up this whole mass gradually as it goes. But it transfers heat pretty well because it's literally just touching the pan. You can even see it's got scorch marks on the bottom of my pan because it's always touching the burner directly. The big issue I have with this kind of just resistance coil is that they heat up slowly. They also cool down very slowly. If I turn the heat off, the coil is still hot and will continue putting more heat into the pan. So you also frequently, like you'll see me, I'll pick something up and I'll move it. Just because I can't leave it on that burner because that one is still hot and it'll keep cooking my food after I think it's done. We're having good conversation, good topic. Thanks, Patsy. This is exactly the kind of thing I want. We're going to hang on to our other ingredients. Oh, that's what I was going to get out. This. So I'm used to the one I've got, but it has its issues, and I know what they are, and I kind of work around them. Induction is the new kid on the block. An induction cooktop does not itself get hot. If you turn on an induction cooktop with nothing on top of it, it might make a noise, but it's not going to get hot. What it does is it's a big magnet. It's a big electromagnet, and it creates a moving magnetic field that causes magnetic metals to like microflex and rapidly heat up, very rapidly heat up. And because you're heating the metal in the pan directly with physics, there's no like extra heat that you have to transfer. The heat's being generated right there by a magnetic field. It also means that when you turn it off, it immediately stops adding heat to your pan. It heats up very, very fast, it cools down fast, and there's no danger of leaving the burner on and having a house catch on fire, because if there's nothing sitting on there, it's never going to get hot. Its downsides are that it can only work with steel and iron pans because it needs the pan itself to be magnetic. So copper and aluminum pans, unless they have a steel or iron component, don't heat up. This is It's actually solidified pretty well. I don't know how solidified the juice underneath is. This is the rendered fat from actually our very same corned beef. I saved it, and I drained off the juice. We've just got a puck of beef fat. Oh, and the juice is very juicy. So we're just going to get that guy off of there. And I'm not going to use the juice. This was very, very, very salty juice. It's in there because I couldn't separate it before I used it. And I'm actually going to rinse this off in cold water real fast. Induction is a little more expensive. It was a lot more expensive, but it's still a little more expensive. And that's in part because it's the newest one. So it hasn't been produced as much. So it needs to catch up. That's how anything is. The new one, when it's only being produced in small numbers, like solar power. Solar power was super expensive a few years ago, and now it's cheaper, because it's being mass produced to the point where it's cheaper than some of the things it's competing with. But also, induction uses less electricity to generate the same amount of heat. So keep that in mind. You end up with a lower heating bill. Okay. We are going to grease our pan with our rendered beef fat. I will tell you where induction is catching on, and it's not in the home kitchens because people are very attached to doing things like the way they like. And also, especially in the US, the gas industry has spent a lot of time marketing to people to have gas stoves in their homes because they want to keep selling gas to people. Where induction is already catching on in a big way is in commercial kitchens because they have a lot of cooktops in an enclosed space with a lot of people. And an induction cooktop doesn't generate any extra heat the way any of these other ones do. So the room is much cooler. When you've got, like, for me, I've got 4 cooktops here, and if I turn all of them on and leave them, the room will start to warm up. A big professional kitchen could have dozens of these things in there. And if they were all this kind of open coil, or even more extreme, if they were all gas burners, that room is sweltering hot. But if they're all induction, they're not generating a whole bunch of extra heat into the room. They're also much quieter. Gas burners don't make a ton of noise, but again, if you've got 24 of them sitting in the same little room, that burning sound adds up and it makes this kind of constant roar. Whereas an induction theoretically makes no noise. They sometimes will make a little bit of a buzz, which is usually a sign that they're starting to wear out. They don't last forever. None of these things last forever. Yeah, so that's where induction cooktops have really started to catch on, like, immediately, is in professional kitchens where they've got just lots and lots and lots of cooktops running all at once. Okay, that down a little bit. Our beef fat is in there with our fresh cabbage, which I want to wilt and maybe get a little bit of color on it. And I'm going to throw in our corned beef now as well. Yeah, you could also do that because the same way that you can embed a coil like this underneath that flat glass surface, you can embed a induction coil underneath that flat glass surface, which makes for really easy cleanup. That is another factor. Although that one it shares with these guys, in just that you can do that. So that's the story of the three main cooktop types. Induction is definitely the wave of the future. It does all of the things that an electric coil like this does, but faster and better, with the only real downside being that you can only use steel and iron cookware. But steel and iron cookware is the most popular kind anyways. Even ones that are aluminum, like I have got one of these guys that's got like an aluminum sandwich layer or something. You know, one of these guys, you can see they've got these sort of layered thing on the bottom. You don't want the aluminum on the outer surface. You want the outer surface to be steel, because aluminum reacts with acidic foods, whereas stainless doesn't. Oh, sweating. That's also I didn't think of that one. Yeah, that's probably also a good shout. But yeah, if you're looking, I wouldn't get rid of your existing cooktop, but if it wears out and you're looking for a new one, I would say seek out an induction cooker, just because they have a ton of advantages. They also do sell them as just the same way that you can get a hot plate that's just an individual little thing. You can get an induction hot plate that's just a little individual one. And yeah, I'll tell you one thing. They are also catching on, and a lot of people bought them a few years ago and didn't realize it, because the heater in the bottom of an Instant Pot is an induction coil. Here, let me swap over here real quick. Let me show you something since we're on the topic. Where's my rice machine? This is an old rice machine. This is my old rice cooker. Does it even have a date on it? I don't know. If you look underneath there, that is an induction coil right there. And it's got a little button in the middle to let the thing know when the pot is sitting on it. And that's a spot that they've been used. So that's my Magic Pot over here has one of those at the bottom. Instant Pot has one of those at the bottom. In this type of device, a lot of electric kettles will have that kind of thing at the bottom. That's an application that they've been used in for quite a while. Having them as just an open heating element for general cooking is the newer thing, but the technology is not all that new. And a lot of people have one in the house already and just didn't realize it. So they're the up and comers. We're gonna throw the pickles in next. I want to infuse the pickliness a bit. Our cabbage is very wilted down, which is good, because I didn't want a big volume of cabbage. We're going to infuse our pickliness. I think that was just the right amount of fat, too, so I'm going to save the other part of this beef puck. Beef fat is such an interesting thing because it is so hard. Like, it breaks. It is so hard when chilled compared to other animal fats. Uh, I don't think I think my pot might be too old for it, but I bet you current crock pots are using an induction coil at the bottom as well. Although the crock of a crock pot is usually ceramic, and that would not heat up, so maybe not. I'm not sure. Um, my rice cooker, you say that rice cooker is fancy. That rice cooker is at minimum 10 years old. Okay, those are looking pretty good. We're going to throw in our onions and our kraut. So crock pots, slow cookers in general, use a large thermal mass. The crock heats up very slowly, but it retains heat extremely well because it is such a large thermal mass. Um, what do you guys think? Is that enough meat for the proportion of other stuff I've got going on in here? Or should I add the rest and just have like hash? Oh, well, it's a Chinese. No, it's Aroma. It's Aroma brand, but it says it's made in China by Intertech. Doesn't even have a date on it. No idea when it was made. I see these little guys at thrift stores all the time. I've already got one, so I don't really pick up new ones. But Bookwoman, hi. What do you think? You're new here. You haven't seen me before. Is this meaty enough? If this was like a ham salad or like a chicken salad, would you be like, not enough ham or not enough chicken? Um, it's probably right on the edge, and I'd probably err on the side of not. But if one of you guys thinks it needs a little bit more, we have a little bit more to throw at it. Patsy thinks it looks meaty enough. I'm probably going to have more than I need for the sandwich regardless, although I am going to load the sandwich up. It's probably fine. Everything in there is either already cooked or was already cooked. You would add a bit more. We can add another. I was thinking just a bit more as well. We're going to add just a little bit more. Sorry, Patsy. Um, actually, get rid of that gristle piece, and then I will add 2 of those slices instead. Okay. I just want to get the proportions right. I expect to not use it fully. Um, okay. Just a bit more, and I suppose it's going to be slightly under compared to the rest of it. We will let it, I'm actually going to let it sit here on the hot burner. We just talked about how the electric burners have a lot of carryover heat. So if your thing is done cooking, you should move it off the burner as soon as you're done, because even turned off, it has a lot of residual heat. But I'm going to take advantage of that, and it is going to warm through those fresh chunks I just threw in. Remember, the corned beef's already fully cooked, so we were just kind of warming it and rendering out a little bit of the fat. Let's see, bowl, 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 bowl. The cheese is going to be... We'll get to the cheese. The cheese is not going to be added to that at this stage. And that needs to cool down enough that when I add mayonnaise to it, it doesn't immediately break the mayonnaise. Hey, you finally found the Prime sub box. I told you they moved it. They're trying to hide it because they really want people to buy subs. Okay, let's slide, let that sort of coast on its residuals over there. We're going to slide back over to our potato. Doesn't look any different. And it's hard to, I don't have it, there's only one potato in here, and it's hard to see. It's not going to be as dramatic as rice, and to do this properly, you should probably do it overnight. Bookwoman found that button. There's that button. Free Prime sub. We're going to stir this around just to ensure that it's nice and rinsed. But essentially what we've done here is the soluble starches on the surface have dissolved into the water. Which leaves us, once we've dried it off, which is the next step, leaves us with a cleaner, crisper exterior. But we do need to dry it off because you can't fry them when they're wet. Cook with residual heat. Set a pan on fire. Oh, that's not good. Sometimes you want to set a pan on fire, but you never want to accidentally set a pan on fire. That's not a good. Okay. Here, you can see how cloudy that water is. You can't. If I hold it up a little bit, you can't see the fries through it. And that cloudiness would make our fries soggy, or at least prevent them from fully crisping. And patting them dry is also super important because that will prevent them from crisping, like, at all. Water is the enemy of crispy food. Star Bunny and TKL. Hi. What are we making? Well, we're making French fries over here. And over there, we're making, I guess at the moment it's a corned beef hash, but it's got pickles and onions and sauerkraut in it because we're going to turn it into a Rueben salad in the vein of like a chicken salad or an egg salad and make a Rueben salad sandwich out of it. But I need to let it cool down a little bit before I do that because I don't want the mayonnaise to split because there's going to be mayonnaise in the sauce that we use to bind it. So we're letting it cool off a little bit over there. It doesn't need to be cold, just needs to be not warm enough to split the mayonnaise. And we were getting onto our fries, which we have just finished soaking. And oh yeah, you can't. You guys are over there. It's gonna be really hard to see it, but I can like immediately feel it. It's, despite having just soaked it, it's very dry on the surface. It's not that sort of slight. Next time you cut a potato, just sort of feel the cut surface, and it's got that sort of slippery wetness to it. That's what the soaking now just got rid of, and that's the stuff that makes you not have a crispy fry. These, they're still like damp, but they're not leaving any kind of residue on my hand when I touch them because that's all in the pot. Well, thank you for the support, Star Bunny. I appreciate it. Wow, you're gonna make me blush. We need to get those into a bowl where I can toss them. So we're gonna toss them in some oil. That bowl. Because they need to be oiled. We're not deep frying them, but they still need oil or they will just look terrible. Now, I've never done this in the air fryer before, so this is also a learning experience. I know the theory, and what I'm talking about is, of course, the theory. But in practice, I don't know. So, doesn't need a ton of oil, just needs enough oil to coat. We're going to give them their tossy toss. This is why I think that an air fryer isn't really a good substitute for a deep fryer, because you end up with oily food regardless, because you have to oil stuff for it to work in the air fryer. We are doing some salt. What made me want to start streaming, honestly, what made me want to start streaming was I was watching people streaming and I was like, that seems fun, I could do that. Chicken stock cube? You mean grind up chicken stock and give that a service for flavoring? If I was going to do that, I think I would use one of these saved ramen flavoring packets that I tend to save up until I throw them away. I'm salting the fries now. Because I think it's easier to salt them when they're oiled before they're cooked than after they're cooked. But I had to grind up my salt because my salt is very coarse and it would fall off in the tossy toss. But they need about 25 minutes total. And we need to preheat the device. So we're going to preheat the device. We're going to have these guys set to the side for a moment. Well, you've never seen me grind salt in the mortar? Oh yeah, it's really easy. We're down to the bottom part here. I tend to buy these days. I buy only like coarse salt. And I keep it in this little dish. Because this coarse stuff, kosher salt or coarse sea salt, you can pinch and just deliver just the right amount. But you don't always want coarse salt. Sometimes coarse salt doesn't dissolve right. Sometimes coarse salt is too chunky and wants to roll off of something like the fries. But salt is really easy to grind. Marble is much harder than salt, so you put some salt in here and you just grind it. And if you want like popcorn salt, you can just keep hitting it, and it turns into just an absolute powder. You can't make salt coarser. You can't take fine salt and make it coarser, but you can take coarse salt and make it finer all day long. So there's another bit of advice from my kitchen to yours. Get coarse salt. It has more use, and if you want fine salt, it just takes a couple of seconds to grind it up. I also recommend putting a little pinch of salt in your mortar when you are grinding up herbs, because the salt acts as an abrasive and makes it grinding especially leafy herbs, makes them grinding them much easier. How's that guy? That's cooled off to the point where I think we're good. Plus, then you get a little bit of salt in your herbs. But yeah, I do that all the time. I feel like if I need to really powder something up, or I've done this a couple times, especially with bay leaves, because they're so tough and plasticky. They're so tough and plasticky that they're really hard to grind. But if you give them a little bit of abrasion with the salt, they start to crack up. And you can get you can get the mortar to really bite into them. But yeah, the main reason I don't grind it super often. The main reason I have coarse salt is just because I can go pinch, and then it doesn't fall out of my hand, and then I can just deliver it where I want to. And I was lucky. I got this little salt well. This little guy. Does he still have his price tag on? No, he doesn't. This was like $2 at a thrift store. I just lucked out and found that. But any little pot will do. This is my sugar one. Sugar's less good about it, but it still kind of works. I don't recommend snorting salt. I think that would completely destroy your nasal passages. Just going to go ahead and say that. Don't recommend. I'm waiting for this thing to beep at me to tell me that it is hot. I just have it running with nothing in it to heat up. So when I put, I think I have never said that. Isosceles. Let's, while that is heating up, get out another bowl. Because this stuff is cooled off enough that I can work with it. Let's see, if I shape it into the size of my slice of bread. You know what? We're going to do the whole thing, and we're just going to we're going to do the whole thing so that we can make a big, crazy, like, TikTok sandwich. I don't really have any catchphrases, except I do. I just don't know what they are, because I say them without thinking. Let's see, I have a brand new ketchup. I am of the opinion that you should always have ketchup and mayonnaise in your kitchen. They are excellent bases for other things. George doesn't like ketchup. Or is it George doesn't like mayonnaise? Well, mustard's good by itself. I don't really go for ketchup by itself, but it is good as an element or as a base for more complex sauces. Mayonnaise especially is a base for more complex sauces. And we are, rather than adding Thousand Island to this, we're going to add, the pickles are already in there. We're going to add, oop, 1 part ketchup, 1 part mayo. Is there a low sodium ketchup that I can recommend? I don't typically go for low sodium stuff, so off the top of my head, no. I actually typically go for the cheapest ketchup that's available, which is, strangely enough, often Hunt's no high fructose corn syrup ketchup. Which is, you'd think it'd be the store brand, but the Hunt's brand undercuts the store brand around me semi-regularly, so they often are the one that I end up with. I'm going to add a little garlic powder and a little sweet paprika, because those are also things that go in Thousand Island sometimes. And dash of lemon from the bottle lemon. Okay, we'll see how saucy this looks. Honestly, that looks just perfect. Just the right amount of sauce. You can still see the chunks, but it kind of makes it stick to itself. I think I nailed it. I think I nailed it by just eyeballing it first try. Cool. Well, thanks, George. It wasn't that much paprika. I don't think that was much paprika. If you don't like paprika, leave the paprika out, I guess. Are you hot yet? Stop. You've got to be hot by now. I guess it never beeped at me. We're going to throw our fries in the fryer and fry them. I just had it running so that they would be hot. Or so that the thing would start out with them. It's definitely hot in there. They sizzled the moment they hit the bottom. So, okay, let that run. Put our sauces. Keep out our mayonnaise. We're gonna do a fun we're going to do a fun with the mayonnaise. Okay. Here's our caraway seeded rye, because I could not be bothered to make my own rye, and I could not find a unsliced rye loaf, which seemed strange, but okay. So it's pre-sliced, so I'm stuck with this thickness. It's not marble rye, and it's not pumpernickel. It's just plain old rye. And it's going to be the outside of our sandwich. But we're grilling the sandwich. I opened a new ketchup and now I've got one too many sauces in here. Oh no. The curse of too many sauces. Right. Okay, well, mustard's gonna sit out. Oh well, you could definitely get put off by ingredients. That is a thing. There's a few things I've been put off by over the years. But that was maybe like half a tablespoon at most of paprika. I just kind of spread it around so that it would be bright. That one needed a smidgen more mayo in the corner. They both needed a smidgen in the same corner, actually. Nice even coating of mayo so that we can get a nice crispy surface when we grill this sandwich. Because the mayo is the outside of our sandwich. Okay, we're gonna use the same pan. Take advantage of some of those flavors that are in there, but it's gonna be on a hotter heat. And we're gonna have a, I'm tempted to not try to flip a whole sandwich in our thing here. I'm gonna toast both of them like this. But we want to get our cheese in there because the cheese needs to get at least a little bit melty. So mayonnaise, because it has a little bit of egg in it, gives you a crispier surface on a grilled sandwich than using butter. Although, it's also going to taste like mayonnaise, so if you don't like the taste of mayonnaise, don't do that. But if you like the taste of mayonnaise, or you think the taste of mayonnaise might complement whatever you're using, whatever's in your sandwich, mayonnaise instead of butter gives you a really good crisp on your bread. I am moderately concerned about our olive oil for grilled cheese. Interesting. I've done oiled toast, and I don't think I've done oiled grilled cheese, but I've done oiled like just toast, like brush oil on both sides of the bread, and then slap it in the pan to make fry bread. And that's pretty good. So I imagine it would be pretty good as a sandwich as well. I think especially like an Italian sandwich, something where the olive oil flavor will complement the flavors in the sandwich. Um, we almost used more of that rendered beef tallow for this part, for frying the bread. And I thought maybe that was a little bit too extra. I was also worried because beef tallow tends to harden back up after it cools, and it would make the outside of our sandwich a little weird. It'd be nice when it was nice and hot, but it would be a little bit weird after it cooled down. Wow, an hour 20 already. I thought we were going to be on a little bit of a shorter time frame today, so I started late, but it looks like we're in a similar vein as normal. I'm going to check my fries. Stop. They're looking okay. We're going to give them a tossy toss. You're not going to be able to see this part very well. So we're going to give them a tossy toss. Get them back in there. Get them still frying. Okay. Mayo does also darken much faster because of the egg, so we do have to watch that and make sure we don't burn these guys. Which might already be occurring. No, we're actually getting a pretty nice beginnings of a toast on there. Okay. Our sauce has made it nice and sticky, so it holds together and doesn't want to cascade off of our sandwich onto the burner, or onto the pan. Our cheese. And let's see how this one is looking. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Looking good, looking good, looking good. I'm going to give it just a smidgen more time on this side. We're going to give it a quick flip, and then we're going to plate, I guess. I think we're already coming into it. Because the fries are catching up. Okay, flip, without disintegrating. Modest disintegration. Nothing severe. We can pick up those bits and save them in a sec. I want the other side to be just about as brown as that, which it was almost there already, so it's only going to be just a smidgen of time here. I definitely have more stuff than I need. Even with a overloaded sandwich, I have more stuff than I need. But I think we got the proportions better, so I'm still happy about adding more stuff. What plate are we looking at today? What plate are we looking at today? What haven't we used in a while? Huh? Yeah? Sort of mud brown with an olive motif. Our lighter brown ingredients or foods should stand out against it. Oop. I think flipping the sandwich might have been a mistake. But there's our sandwich. Okay, the thing wants me to check the fries again, so I will oblige. Ooh, they're looking pretty good. Okay, I would really rather some of this stuff not have fallen out, so I'm just gonna try to tuck it in the edges. Ooh, it's hot. Which of course it is. It was literally just frying, but I want my sandwich to be kind of spilling out, but not like literally spilling out. Mm. Mm. Well, the bit I've just licked off my fingers is delicious, so I think we're gonna have a winner. We're just waiting for those fries for another 2 minutes. 3 minutes? 4 minutes. 3, 4 minutes. Mmm. Okay. What do we think of the plate choice? What do we think of our plate choice? Now that I'm looking at this might be too close to the same brown. Which would suggest that I use just an old-fashioned white. Well, white with a little blue rim. Of course, we always have the option of white squares or these white circles with the blue rim. But I feel like I want the plate to look kind of crowded this time. So I'm going to go with the smaller, because these guys are slightly smaller. I think we're going to go with this one. I think this dish will benefit from the plate looking a bit overwhelmed. Should we make a special sauce for the fries or no? Should we make a special sauce for the fries? Or no? I'm hoping the fries will be real tasty just as is. Just as is. Where's my big knife? Oh, you know, like a fry sauce, which is honestly very similar to the sauce that's on here. It's usually a mayo ketchup blend with some spices. I think no. I think I'm going to trust the fries. We don't have a cheese pull, but I wasn't expecting one because it's Swiss cheese, which is not a very good melting cheese. I'm going to have my fallen out bits sort of decoratively falling out the front. I mean, I have done that. I'm actually a big fan of tartar sauce. I think tartar sauce, people are sleeping on tartar sauce as a fry sauce. Personally. Checking on fries, checking the fries. Ooh, they look so good. Oh, they look so good. Wow. Big change from just the last time I checked them. They look like this. We are, oh, we have an ad right now. I'm going to work real fast, and I will get my photos taken. There's too much stuff on that one. We're using the other tongs. I'm gonna get my photos taken right quick, and then we will come back after this ad for tasting. Ooh, that works. This works great. I might have over-oiled them a little bit, actually. They look great. Yeah, I think the crowded plate is the right way to go here. Oh, that pot is hot. Oh boy, that pot is hot. Okay. Oh, we're not going to make it because it's 6 seconds left. So I'm going to pepper them because I like a little bit of pepper. We're going to go take pictures of this right now. I know we just had an ad break, but I'm going to take pictures of this right now. Come back, give it the taste. I think we nailed the timing. Everything's like hot and fresh and ready to go. Okay, that's all she wrote for photos. Okay. Okay, okay. I mean, it looks pretty good to me. With extra pepper on the side there. The fries literally just came out, so they are no doubt going to completely scorch my mouth if I try to bite them first. So we're starting with the sandwich. And we are indeed already jumping into tasting. Well, nothing to it. Mmm. 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 Oh, it's got an evolution to it. Oh. Oh, it's still evolving. Whoa. Okay, I gotta recap what just happened in my mouth. Wow. So the first thing that hits you is the crispy bread, the crispy toasted bread. But then right on its heels, you're getting the creamy, tangy flavor of our Thousand Island dressing binder. But then as you bite into it, you get crunchy element. You get some crunchy pickle coming in from one side. You get some crunchy cabbage coming in from the other side. And they are throwing their own like acidic tang into it. It's very like almost pinch the corner of your mouth tangy without being sour. And then coming in late, you hit bits of corned beef flavor that kind of swing in on the back end of it. It's got this really like. Honestly, it doesn't taste quite exactly like a Reuben. And I think it's probably because it's more heavily sauced, because we had to have enough sauce to really kind of bind it together. But I like it. It's rich. It's rich. It's creamy. It's got a surprising amount of tang. I was expecting a little bit more sourness between the pickle and the lemon juice and the sauerkraut, but it's not coming through the front of my mouth as sour. It's coming through like the back corners, a little bit of that sort of pinch. Which is really nice. And then it's rich and savory. The fries should have cooled off enough for me to at least taste them, so let's taste them. Start with this guy over here. He's maybe not as crispy as he looks. He's a little bit floppy. Oh, I don't know if you can hear that. It definitely has a crispy exterior and a nice soft tender interior. It's just not quite enough structural integrity for it to be like stiff. But it definitely has that crispy exterior. They're bendy, but they have enough crispy edges to make up for it. Sort of a halfway between. Honestly pretty good. They're very like creamy, almost mashed potato-y on the inside, which is how I like a fry to be. Nice and crisp on the outside, really sort of creamy on the inside. I think I would put a little bit less oil on them next time. And I might even leave the skins, because I bet you the skins would crisp up pretty well in that thing. I also think if you cut them very evenly and like just a half-inch cut, they would be a more consistent crisp. So I think if I did them with a mandolin instead of by hand with a knife, I could get it. But I actually really like how creamy tender the interiors are. I'm impressed. This, I kind of knew was going to be good, but it's good in a way I wasn't quite expecting. So I guess good on me. The the fries, I've never done fries in the air fryer like that, and I continue to be impressed by that machine. Just in general impressed by this machine. It even like told me, it beeped, and when I looked over, the screen said, "Shake now." When I opened it up and I shook it around. Like it. And when I was running it empty just to heat it up, it didn't do that. Somehow it knows when there's stuff in it and tells you to shake it. It's real interesting. I don't know the science behind that. I don't know the programming behind that trick. That's a neat trick. This is real good. I don't know that it's better or worse than a standard Rueben, but it's slightly different enough that I think it deserves to be its own thing. That would be nice. I have no such thing. Let me show you my coffee machine. My fancy coffee machine. It's the French press. This is my fancy coffee machine. It makes 1 cup of coffee. Well, I want to get to this while everything is still hot and crispy. I am already, I'm going to say this is going to be a mark against the fries, unfortunately. They are already losing their crispiness. They are definitely a short-lived treat. So, if you do them this way, eat them right away. Don't wait around. They're definitely going to go soggy faster than oil-fried ones. But while they're fresh, they're quite good. And you don't need a whole vat of oil to make them, so they're easier as well. Yeah. Well, it is 6:45, and this is my dinner, so we're going to have to get to that, which means I am going to wrap us up and send you folks along somewhere. Let's see who's on. I knew this was going to be a little bit of a shorter one. I'm actually surprised it wasn't even shorter than it was. It's because I'm making a sandwich. Once it comes to the assembly bit, it just kind of assembles. Thankfully, we had some very good conversations today to fill in a lot of time. If you ever have a topic of discussion, it doesn't have to be about the kitchen or about food. I love talking about all sorts of things. But we had a very good talk about the differences between your various cooktops. Gosh, I don't even know who's on. Hold on, I gotta pull up my full thing. I'm gotta see who's on. I'm gotta see who's maybe not gonna end right away. We raid WeFormer a lot, but I like raiding WeFormer, so we're gonna go raid WeFormer. Friend of the show, WeFormer. So yeah, swap over to my face. So yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for hanging out. I had a little bit of a late start, which was to accommodate the fact that I knew this was going to be a little bit of a shorter thing, and I wanted to. We have a lead time at my normal start time where not many people show up, and it's a good time for me to like get through the base chopping and base prep before I get into the more fun cooking bits. We kind of pushed everything up today, but yeah, I can give you some previews. Strawberries are coming in, and they look wonderful. So they're going to be something. I don't know what. Drop a suggestion in Discord if you can think of something to do with strawberries. And I will read that suggestion. Otherwise, I'll be back on Monday. Something with strawberries. We could do cheesecake. That is an option. I haven't done a cheesecake in a while. I did a bunch of those really early on. haven't done one in a while, so we could revisit cheesecake. Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for sticking with me to the end. Let's all go say hi to WeFormer, and goodbye.